What's going on, y'all? This is Spunk from the Abyss, and today we're talking about Poppy Playtime Chapter 5. Now, if you guys weren't aware, Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 came out February 18th of this year, and with it came jam-packed with lore. I mean, from experiments having to watch videos of Miss Gracie manipulating them into thinking they're better off as a toy, to the plethora of notes scattered throughout the whole playthrough, and the heavy lore we hear from all the tapes in this chapter. I mean, just the one with Poppy alone talking to the prototype. The screams in that tape were disturbing. Like, I'll play a little bit of it if you guys want to hear it. But
one way to make you see this.
that's neither here nor there. Today we're going to be talking about the future of Poppy Playtime. Now, if you guys haven't played Poppy Playtime Chapter 5, first of all, go play the game, then come back to this video because this chapter is great. You guys are not going to want to miss it. If you guys are able to go play the game, go play it, and then watch this video. But don't forget to watch the video. You guys are not going to want to miss the prototype reveal, so I highly suggest going and playing the game first. Because today we're going to be talking about major spoilers for the ending. So just a spoiler warning right now. Spoilers for this video for the ending of Poppy Playtime Chapter 5. If you guys don't want to get spoiled, here's your warning. Turn off the video now. And without further ado, let's get it. Today we're going to be talking about two possible outcomes in my opinion. The ending can go two different ways. Before we discuss those two different ways, I'm going to recap the ending of Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 with you guys. Now, the chapter ends with us meeting Lily Lovebraids and joining her for her tea party. We're accompanied by Kissy and Poppy in this moment, as well as Lily Lovebraids, of course. And we see the prototype reveal himself to us for the first time in over 4 chapters. He reveals himself to us, and he comes to the tea table. And the first thing he does is he picks up Poppy and shames her for bringing us, the player, along and trying to undo everything that he's been doing and his ultimate goal, which is immortality and him achieving and him escaping loneliness for eternity. So he confronts Poppy, he looks at us, the player, and menacingly, and he threatens Poppy. He says that he can make her better, and he continues to crush Poppy to the point where her plastic shatters. Like, she's literally shattered. Like, if you guys see her whole entire, like, most of her body now is shattered, and you can see just her flesh getting revealed because of how damaged she is after the prototype. All he did was this. He did one of these. He said crunch with his hands. Poppy's shattered, and Kissy reacts by fighting the prototype and damaging him just a little bit, enough for him to run away. And then us, the player, chases after Kissy. We chase after Kissy, we run with her, and we end up splitting paths and killing Lily Lovebraids along the way. Lily hops on one of the platforms that we hop on, and we knock the platform down, and the platform falls on top of her. First of all, brutal death, but, you know, that's besides the point. The platform falls on Lily Lovebraids, kills her, supposedly. You know, a lot of characters don't actually die in this franchise. They always come back. Huggy. But, kill Lily Lovebraids, and then we go to meet up with Giblet, Poppy, and Kissy again. Now, Giblet talks to Poppy. Poppy says, "Oh, I haven't seen you in a while, Giblet." She talks to him for the first time in a while, supposedly. And, you know, she's all shattered and broken. And Giblet's just feeling bad. He's saying again, "I'm not the hero. I'm not the hero. I'm sorry, I'm not the hero." And, you know, just trying to cheer Poppy up. And they make a plan. Giblet says there's a backup. There's a backup that we can use to, you know, to destroy Prototype once and for all. So he instructs us to get this backup. And so we then go further down into the laboratory to find the backup. After completing a series of puzzles, we meet up and we see Huggy again. Huggy chases after us, and we lead him to Kissy. Huggy Wuggy and Kissy have this really adorable scene where they meet for the first time in a while, I guess. I'm assuming it's the first time in a while. Or maybe the first time ever. But, you know, Kissy and Huggy finally meet, and they have a moment. They hold hands, whatever, you know, do their thing. And then we see the prototype come out of nowhere with the shank through the gut, severely hurting Huggy. He throws Huggy to the side and proceeds to shank Kissy as well, and throws her to the side. So, you know, first of all, come on, don't mess with Kissy and Huggy, bro. That's our favorite character, bro. I'm pretty sure that's all of our favorite characters, besides the prototype now, because, you know, his design is sick, but Huggy is our favorite character. Like, come on, let's be real. So, you know, hopefully they ain't dead. I mean, after he shanks him, you can see Huggy still breathing in the background, so he might still be alive, and I think prototype is going to use them somehow, or they're going to come in last minute and be clutch and save the day, but we're going to talk about that more later. After Huggy and Kissy get injured, we run and we attempt to meet up with Poppy and Giblet again. Now we run away from prototype after a dope ass chase scene, not to mention, and we finally meet with Poppy and Giblet again. We're about, you know, at this point where we thought we defeated the prototype and we were planning our escape. As soon as they think they defeated the prototype arises from the flames, arises from the rubble, and he chases us. He chases the player, Poppy and Giblet. We attempt to run from him. Poppy meets us at the door. Before we get to the door, the prototype shanks us. I thought we was a goner. To be real, I thought we was a goner. He shanks us, and Poppy's just sitting there with them. And you know, afterwards, the prototype takes Poppy, runs off of her. All right, and we don't know what happens to Giblet in this moment because we don't end up seeing him until afterwards. But after we get shanked, we end up waking up to the prototype holding us by his hands, and he drops us in a Poppy gel mixture. Now this is very interesting because we hear about the gel mixture and we see the gel mixture throughout the throughout this whole chapter. So it's a very surprising thing that the prototype did, but nonetheless, the prototype drops us in the gel. We wake up from being in the gel. We end up gaining consciousness again, and we get shocked by Giblet. It's revealed to us that, you know, Giblet shocks us, and he's like, oh wow, that actually worked. And we end up getting revived. And after we get revived, we follow Giblet to continue to look for the backup. Now we go with Giblet and end up finding the backup, which happens to be the doctor. Yeah, Playtime Co. decided to make a copy of the doctor's brain, the doctor's intelligence, just in case something were to happen to the doctor, which, you know, we did defeat the doctor in the last chapter. So, you know, good. They were thinking ahead, and we ended up finding the backup with Giblet. And the doctor's like, oh, what a turn of events. Chapter ends there. There's your guys' recap of the ending. Now it's time to speculate on what we think is going to happen going forward and how these 6 chapters are going to come to an end. Now the 2 possibilities I want to go over with you guys. We're going to start with the first one, which is the player makes it out alive with Poppy. All right, now let me explain this to you guys. So before we go over this, I'm going to read you guys a note that we find throughout the chapter. It's about experiment 814. Now this delves further into the gel mixture that prototype drops us in, and I think this is important to know what's going to happen going forward. And through this note, we found out what exactly happens to the player after the prototype drops us in the gel. Now we see here in the experiment note, it has the bullet points. It says the experiment utilized a live rat. It's fed 3 portions daily for 2 weeks. At the end of the 2 weeks, the rat was killed and submerged into a poppy, flour, and preservative gel mixture. 1 week later, an electric shock was applied to the rat, still in the gel, in an attempt to revive it. The rat remained unresponsive. And down here in the bottom of the note, says analysis. I still believe in the potential of the poppy flower. Its unusual properties lend me to believe that the proper mixture and procedure could have life-altering properties. The poppy flower has for a long time carried heavy symbolism, and I don't believe that's for no reason. Perhaps something larger than a rat would yield different results. So it's revealed to us through this note that sometime in the past, a live rat was submerged in this gel, the same gel that the prototype dropped us in, and the rat didn't survive the outcome when it was shocked. Who else do we see get shocked after getting submerged in the gel? That's right, us, the player. But for us, it works. Giblet shocks us. We wake up after being submerged in the gel. Now, what I think is happening here, I think after being dropped in the gel and being revived, we gain immortality. That's right. us the player, have become immortal after being dropped in the preservative gel mixture. Now this is important to what I think is going to happen going forward, because us being immortal means we have a bigger chance to defeat the prototype, especially with the help of Giblet and Chum, which we know is still alive and running, because we end off the chapter with him. And Chum, we don't see anything happen to Chum, so we can assume that he's alright. So with that being said, there's two possibilities I see going forward. Either us the player team up with Giblet and the Doctor, and we manage to defeat the prototype and escape the Playtime co-factory just in time before it all comes down. But that's not going to happen without some fatalities. There's always something that happens with a good ending. There's always a bad ending to the good ending. Huggy and Kissy probably going to die. One of them might survive. Who knows? But I think if we do survive this and we end up escaping the Playtime factory, there's definitely going to be some deaths. And we're forever going to be changed because of the gel mixture. And going forward, the player, us, are going to go to these other locations that we hear about, and as we go to these locations, Immortal, we're gonna find out who is really behind the other locations, because there's not just this factory, there's other locations as well that we hear about. Now the second possibility I see happening is after attempting to defeat the prototype with Giblet and the Doctor, we managed to win, but in the attempt to win, we the player get turned into the next prototype. That's right, I think the prototype is not going to go down easy. He's going to make us the next prototype. He's going to use our immortality for his own gains. And I think we may be the next villain for a Poppy franchise going forward. This doesn't mean, however, that Poppy and Kissy and Huggy may not escape the factory. They might escape the factory. They might end up escaping. The factory is probably going to come down still. But I think it's a possibility that the prototype might use us for his own gain. I feel like even though that's not the more likely outcome, I feel like that would be the more surprising outcome. And I feel like these chapters tend to take turns, and it's not out of the realm of possibilities to say that the prototype dropped us in the gel mixture for a reason. It may have been just to finish us off, but it could have been because he knew he would use us later on to potentially make himself even better. It's possible that we play as another protagonist going forward, if this were the case. So to recap, I think that us the player will be turned into the next antagonist of the Poppy franchise by means of the prototype using us to attach to himself. But who knows? That's just the theory. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that we could potentially become an antagonist of the franchise, or do you think we're going to escape with Poppy and Kissy and Huggy potentially and find out these other locations and figure out what else is going on out there in the world of Poppy Playtime? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe, because there will be a lot of more videos like this. If you guys like FNAF and Poppy Playtime theories, consider subscribing. And until next time, I'll see y'all in the abyss.